I am talking about monthly close on the episode this week. I am passionate that our processes never become complacent, that we continue to improve and ensure our monthly close process and briefing products are value added, and that we help our senior leaders do their jobs better because we provided value added analysis that gives everyone an improved picture of last month's performance. Enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Finance Leader Podcast, where leadership is bigger than the numbers. I am your host, Stephen McLean. This is the podcast for developing leaders in finance and accounting. This is episode number 28, and today I will discuss the importance of improving the monthly close process, and I will discuss three areas. Number 1, does the process make sense? Number 2, let analysts be analysts. And number 3, your briefing slides should tell a story. This episode will not be a technical laydown of monthly close, but where leaders need to step up to make sure that monthly close is value added. It's about leadership and making sure our processes make sense. Tillman Fertitta, the owner of the Houston Rockets, said, "Don't ever let your business get ahead of the financial side of your business. Accounting. Know your numbers." Now, I definitely have strong opinions about monthly close and any of the financial or accounting processes that we have. They must be value added. They must be accurate. We must spend the majority of our time building the business and helping senior leaders do their jobs better. And we need to ask ourselves, how can we add more and better value to what we do every day? It's not just about doing this report or pulling this information or doing this journal entry or cutting and pasting this report. It's about ensuring that our team, both on the accounting side and the financial side, know our roles so that we add value to the process. This is not just an event on the calendar, and I do hope that it is scheduled on the calendar in your company, but it's a process to make sure we understand where our business is going. To make monthly close effective, it requires leadership. Leaders set the vision and then steer the organization toward that vision. As finance and accounting leaders, we get to be the trusted business advisor assisting senior leaders in the C-suite to ensure that the organization is doing its best and understanding what performance it had in the last period and in the same period last year. The monthly close process must be streamlined and effective. The actual numbers in the system you are using must be accurate, and the final briefing product and any other published material must be value added and helpful to decision makers. The great leaders understand when change is necessary. Monthly close can often be considered very sacred within an organization, and then we become complacent because we aren't doing the necessary change and improvement to make it better. We need to lead change in our monthly close process when the process is no longer helping us add value, when we continue just to produce the same reports, the same slides, the same tables, same graphs, and we're not adding any kind of value or any kind of analysis, or we're not helping our senior leaders move forward, then we are failing our organization. We don't just close the books and make slides. We highlight what we did and how we did it. We have to ask ourselves, are we on track? What didn't go well, and what could we do better? We should be telling a story that adds value and guides decision makers on what the numbers mean, where we are going. What is the role of monthly close? Monthly close helps us measure performance and make decisions about the future and what metrics did not do well and what metrics did well. We must ensure our records are straight according to what the business actually did, and we also must communicate with stakeholders about performance and how the business met or missed expectations. Now, there are three areas that I would like to discuss further about what I believe we can do to make monthly close a better process. Number 1, does the process make sense in our organization? What I want you to do is map out that process. Where do you start the process? I want you to put that process on paper or even on a whiteboard. That's even better. I want you to map it out. I want you to list out how the data and information is moving along the process and figure out how you can streamline it, make it easier, make it better. Figure out your roles and responsibilities as you go through the process each month. Who's doing what? Who is pulling what piece of information? Who is putting together the report? And who's doing the analysis? and who's providing the information that helps our senior leaders? How are you sequencing the reporting, and how are you sequencing the journal entries? A big question that I want you to ask yourself as a leader in finance and accounting is that, do your financial systems contribute or hinder the monthly close process? Are your financial systems helping you understand the data? Is it helping you collect the data better? Is it helping you with recording the data? Are you able to pull the data that you need so that you can create information that makes sense and where you can gather insights to help your senior leaders? You need to ensure you publish the process and that everyone understands their role and what metrics they are measuring and analyzing. We must continue to train our team to pull the right data and format the data in a way that it creates great insights, knowledge, and also powerful wisdom for our senior leaders. I like mapping out the monthly close process because you get to see where things work and where they don't work, and you get to see where information is moving and where it gets kind of clogged up in the process and it gets stuck waiting on other processes. You'll see once you start putting your process on paper or on a whiteboard, you can start to see where information gets stuck when you're waiting on other people to funnel information in. And maybe somewhere along the process, you might have one accountant or an analyst maybe waiting on multiple pieces of information, and then it builds, and then it's this continually circle process movement of information. Really talk to your team, and they will tell you where the information gets stuck and where it's really making their job hard if the process isn't effective. So once you map it out, you put it on paper, and you kind of see the information flow and what reports get pulled from what system, you can then start to see where you can make improvements and make things a lot better. And you continue to talk with your team and you refine the process and continually make it better so that you're moving the process along smoother and it touches fewer people. Maybe you have all the information coming into one source or coming from one source, and just making it a lot smoother and streamlined. And also, when are the due dates? When are the deadlines for information being submitted, especially once the reports from the information is all run and complete, and you're starting to use some of those reports to build some of your monthly close slide products? What are the deadlines, and do those deadlines make sense? And as you build these metrics, who needs what from whom, and can you make that easier, and can you make that better? And are you giving yourself enough time to do the analysis, to do that story building that I was talking about? Does all of this make sense? Do you need more time built in? And also really challenge yourself. And this may take a commitment of a long time and also commitment of resources, but do your systems make sense? Do the systems really do support what you need to accomplish for monthly close? And that's going to be a really long, in-depth analysis if you believe it isn't. So continue to talk with your team because they know where it's getting stuck and what works and what doesn't work, and start to pull those insights together so that you can come up with a better process. I'm challenging you. You can do it, you can get it done, and you can make your organization much better. Number 2, I want analysts to be analysts. Our analysts and staff accountants need to spend more time on adding value to the business instead of just report formatting and cutting and pasting. There's nothing more that will get me upset or get me bothered where I see our finance and accounting team doing more cutting and pasting than they are actually doing their jobs. And that is properly recording what the business did, properly doing analysis and putting information together in a usable format, in a usable way that our leaders can then use that to make decisions. I continually see our team members doing more cutting and pasting, moving data around, pulling a report, putting that data into another report, and then that data moves to another accountant or a financial analyst, and then they start doing cutting and pasting from that report into another report. Can we streamline this process? Can we make it better? Can we give more time back to our team so they're actually trying to figure out what the numbers mean so that we can continue to add value? This is a very passionate topic of mine. If you've been listening to the podcast at all, I talk about this, especially in the early episodes. I believe that our staff accountants and our financial analysts are wasting too much time on formatting and cutting and pasting instead of actually thinking about the metrics and thinking about the performance that the organization did and for the metrics that they are responsible for. They're wasting too much time. And it's also demoralizing as a team member trying to work the numbers when you're really passionate about the field, you're passionate about the profession, and then you just spend all your time moving numbers around and not really getting a chance to understand where the business is going and understanding what these numbers mean. And I think it's a failure of our leadership is that we don't work more on trying to ensure that our process is better and our systems are better, and that we are training and we are moving our team in a direction where they are spending more of their time on analysis and also a lot of their time talking and discussing the metrics with leaders in the organization, where they're building partnerships and they're building a really effective collaborative team and getting to know what their metrics really mean in the organization. Continue to be that expert and know when a metric changes from month to month, and especially a drastic change, that they can explain it and then they can figure out who to talk to and try to figure out what really happened. And then you can convey that information on the slides that you use to the senior leaders so that they can in fact start thinking about it and maybe make an adjustment to the strategy if that metric was a considerable metric that would make a vast change to the strategy. It's all about trying to figure out what happened in the last month in comparison to the previous month and in comparison to what happened last year, so that we can provide the very best information, very best insights, and the very best recommendations to our senior leaders so that they have a very clear picture of what we did and they can start to think about any kind of changes, ensuring that we are moving in the right direction. And number 3, I believe that our briefing slides should tell a story. Our briefing slides shouldn't just be a table with just blank information. Just be a briefing table with just a bunch of numbers on it that don't really make any sense. It's just tables, columns, data, doesn't really give any kind of information. Now, sometimes in your monthly close process and in your briefing slides, there may be addendums or additional data that you provide, that you've been asked to provide, that just may be a table and that's all they really want. And that's fine. But where your key metrics, I'm really asking you to tell a story about what happened, especially the change from last year in the same period. Start to really ask yourself, how can you help the C-suite executives and the senior leaders do their jobs better? We have to continue to build positive relationships with our senior leaders so you know how to add value. What are they looking for? What really helps them see the big picture? What are some insights you can provide them in the information and in the metrics that you are responsible for? What kind of information and insights and knowledge that you can start to piece together and help them do their job a lot better? I continue to encourage you to become a partner to help them achieve the strategy and also to adapt and develop the future strategy. And in this partnership, continue to ask and inquire and make sure that they are getting the right information in a timely manner. And sometimes you have to become a teacher and advisor for senior leaders. That means you've got to really know your craft. You've got to know your metrics. You've got to know your job. You've got to spend time understanding and knowing how to present the information that can communicate the best story. And you got to work on your influencing skills and knowing how to communicate and using the right verbiage within the company, and what are the key words and key issues that our senior leaders are really looking for. Telling a story helps us understand what we did and where we need to go, and that's really what it's all about, is being able to tell a very more simplified story so that everyone can understand, instead of just putting numbers on a slide and saying, hey, we went up 5% on this metric year over year, and what does that really mean? And that takes time, really starting to work with maybe a program manager or a department head or somebody that really works those metrics actually on the ground, so you understand all the moving pieces and the parts that go to that, so that one thing changes and affects another part of the metric, then you can communicate what really happened. And maybe we can make some adjustments and we can make some recommendations to make the organization even better, and that we have performance moving in the right direction according to the expectations and also the predictions and the annual plan that we put together, and in definitely our projection that we did for the quarter and for the year, so that we can answer all the stakeholders, including investors, our suppliers, our customers, and any kind of other maybe government entity or anybody else that's involved in understanding our numbers a little bit better. Now, I have created an example slide that you can download. It's a PDF. You can find the link to download in the episode description, or you can go to my website, stephenmclean.com, go to resources in the main menu, and then you can select a monthly close slide. And you can see the slide that I put together, and that shows how you can tell a story just using some metrics from a make-believe company that I did. It's a freight company, and I just put together some numbers from available days for a trucking company, and just see how I try to tell a story on that one slide, and maybe that can inspire you to figure out how you can tell a better story on the slides that you are putting together each month. Now, I was with a company that had a desire to change the briefing slides for the better, but some of the C-suite executives were a little reluctant because they still wanted to do the comparisons to previous months using the old slides that they had been using for a long time. And any change to the format seemed to make it harder for them. I understand that. Now, this is where leadership happens, convincing those who you advise that change will add incredible value. We must continue to strive for change and improvement. Now, pushback against change will always happen. We have to ensure that the briefing product that we use is not static, that we're always striving to help understand the business better. And this is where leadership and influence can really lift your organization to a new level. So don't give up trying to make it better, and don't give up. Keep improving, and no complacency. That's always going to be something where I come from. I don't believe in complacency. I don't believe in just doing the same thing over and over again. We need to continue to find ways that we can improve, make our processes better, make our team better, make our organization even better. Now, for an easy win today, number one, if you are involved in monthly close, is your monthly close process effective in your organization? Now, I want you to write down a few ideas on how you can improve the process. You can start simple, just a couple of things, maybe how we pull some information and how that information maybe moves around the team if it does. And you can bring up these ideas with your supervisor, or start to build a consensus with your peers on how to improve the close process. And I want you to really use your influence skills to make this process a lot better, and start putting your ideas on paper and start mapping it out and showing some type of plan or some kind of product that shows how the monthly close process can be just a little bit better. We all must be committed to leading change where it is necessary, so that we add value, we support the strategy, and we continue to grow the business. I have a free guide for you. It's called the Leadership Growth Blueprint for Finance and Accounting Managers. In the guide, I talk about 3 leadership areas: communication, team growth, and empowerment, plus a few recommendations around challenges with the systems you are probably using to complete your work. The link to the guide is in the episode description, or you can go to stephenmclean.com. Please use it to help you with a few leadership wins today. Thank you. This episode is sponsored by my new online course offering through Finance Leader Academy. It's called Advance Your Finance and Accounting Career, Developing a Promotion Strategy that will set you apart. Are you having difficulty getting recognition from your leadership despite all the hard work you pour into your job and your organization? This course helps you analyze what you bring to the organization, how you can set yourself apart from your peers through high visibility work and developing your leadership skills, plus how you can devise a strategy to move ahead. You can go to stephenmclean.com for more details. Today on this episode, I talked about how we can improve the monthly close process, and I talked about 3 areas. Number 1, we should be mapping the process to understand it better. Number 2, let analysts be analysts. And number 3, we must improve our monthly close slides so that they tell a story. Next week, the episode is going to be about overcoming indecisiveness. I hope you enjoyed the Finance Leader Podcast. I am dedicated to helping you grow your leadership. I hope you enjoyed the show. You can get this episode wherever you find podcasts. And now the podcast is available on Amazon. You can go to their music app and you can find the podcast there. Until next time, you can check out more resources at stephenmclean.com and sign up for my updates so you don't miss an episode of the show. And now, go lead your team, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.